Thank you for joining us again. Another edition of No Stoplights. I want to thank our sponsors, Francis. Before I say that, this isn't clutter. This is product placement. This is kind of our version of being a NASCAR driver. It's Darlington Week, so we're thanking all of our sponsors. Francis, Marion University, Carolina Bank, got to get me a coffee mug. Micky Finn's, Victor's, Marlboro MPD Electric Co-op, McCall Farms, Pepsi of Florence, PLC Commercial Real Estate, and McLeod Health. For the sponsors that haven't furnished a cup, you got to get off your duff and get us some paraphernalia here. But we've kind of gained a little traction in this lane that we've decided to go in, and we're not chasing viral hits. We don't hope that one day we say something as controversial and provocative that Joe Biden or Donald Trump pick it up, put it on their Twitter account or on their Facebook page, and instantaneously you're a household name. The odds of that are happening are slim to none, and Slim just left town. So we're trying to hyper serve our community with more of a local flavor, and we've taken a lot of components of our community and try to address those in a meaningful fashion. We're doing about one a week of personalities and community leaders and businessmen and women who we believe have made an impact in our community. And we're going to kind of stay there and dedicate this podcast to the community and try to create some energy and momentum and a certain awareness of what we are, who we are, what we're about, and who's made us what we are. These sponsors, I hope, don't believe that we'll gain them national acclaim or fame, but I want to thank them for buying into what we're trying to do here because we're trying to better our community. One of our sponsors is a local commercial real estate company, PLC Commercial Real Estate. Don't have a mug, but if I did, I'd hold it up. They are kind of an upstart company. A lot of local guys that have been around the block, but they've kind of aligned themselves one with another, and out of that came PLC Commercial Real Estate. So I want to introduce our guest today, Ken Jackson, good friend of mine, and Rhett Spencer, who I guess his father was a better friend than Rhett does, or Rhett has been, but we'll grow this friendship as time passes. Ken, Rhett, good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And once again, need a coffee mug now. I got to get me a coffee mug.
You got you a back.
Hey, you got a big backstop there. We sure do. So PLC Commercial Real Estate, for those that don't know, let's go back and revisit exactly when you guys decided to align and form this new company and exactly what is PLC Commercial Real Estate.
Well, it's been probably getting close to a year. It was last summer when we started.
June 1st was our launch.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're nearly a year into this.
Yeah, and we had worked on it for 6 months, meeting, talking about it, and really there were 3 different groups that came together. Chris and Rhett been together. John Etheridge had a company, and I'd been with RE/MAX for 30 years, and we all decided to pool our vast experience and knowledge and create what we thought was something that was needed in Florence, which is a commercial brokerage and development company and commercial property management company. And we're doing all 3 of those things, and we've been rocking and rolling since last summer, and we're excited about it. It's a lot of opportunities, and we all are enjoying working together. We hadn't had the first fight, and
yeah, okay. Well, that's well. I mean, you and I've been partners for a long time, and I don't know that we've ever had a fight across the world. We had a disagreement or two, but not across. Rhett, I know Ken a lot better than I know you, but how has it been? What is the learning curve and the connection you're making with these? You've always known these guys,
right?
But now you're business partners. What have you learned over the last year, and what's exciting about being a part of this team?
I'm very grateful. So as Ken kind of touched on, I was with Chris Scott previously for about 6 years, and now going into the first year with PLC Commercial. So I've really been excited. Chris is a wonderful mentor and a great teacher, but it's very encouraging for me to have now 2 more mentors with John and Ken and learn more. Chris taught me a lot about the development side of things. I've had leasing experience beforehand at a separate company, and so that to learn the true brokerage and property management side of the business from Ken and John, and it's fun to be able to ask, go down the hall and say, hey, I need some help on how do I approach this, this client's asking this, I'm not sure how to answer it. And what are your thoughts on this property's value? It's nice to have several people to bounce ideas off of and collaborate. And I think I'm adding some to the conversation too.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure, despite being a tiger, I'm sure you're adding a great deal to the conversation. I don't want to talk about everything and anything because people will remember nothing. I want to make sure we kind of stay focused. You sent me, Ken, some information about things we wanted to talk about today because it's your podcast, not mine. It's your world, not mine. You are the experts, not me. But there's a narrative in the media, and to some degree it's accurate, that retail is dying on the vine. The greatest story in retail today is the Walmart online shopper and the Amazon online shopper, two 800-pound gorillas going at it in online shopping. There is no denying that. I mean, we all accept that Amazon is a monster, Walmart is a monster, and they're trying to entice the consumer to choose their website, their online shopping over another. But there has been growth in retail. And I want to kind of talk about that. A statistic that you sent me that I read, new store openings in 2023, 6,617. Stores that closed, 4,412. That's inconsistent with the narrative. I mean, I would have thought, to be honest with you, that it would have been an inversion. There would have been more retail closed than opened. But Ken, it's specialty retail. I mean, it's not the Walmart, Amazons of the world. It is discount retailers. It's quick service restaurants. It's specialty beverages with drive-through. Walk me through how you analyze the property available, the needs the community has, and the recruitment necessary to try and develop relationships with these growth retail businesses.
Well, and Rhett can add probably more of that than me, but I think what you hit it on the head. The type of retail users that are growing are the ones that service a need for consumers who are more sensitive to price, and I think that's where you see the growth and that and QSRs and service related businesses. Just like we were talking before about a potential tenant we have, I'm seeing a lot of counseling type businesses, hospice related, personal service. You have these salons and nails and the businesses that are doing things. But as far as the retail, I mean, smaller is also something. I mean, I think that the market is adjusting to the different smaller sizes compared to the bigger and the higher end shops. And I think, and of course, we don't have as many around here, but from what I've read, some of the very high end retailers are growing and doing well, which that's I guess that's a different market than we see as much. But here, I think that anything, we're almost fully leased with the retail stuff we've had. We've got a few, but anything above 3,000 square feet is harder to lease.
People look for smaller spaces.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Rhett, I'm going to make up a word. I do this all the time, and it seems to work. I don't know if it makes any sense to say generational awareness, but Ken and I are of the same generation. You're a little bit younger than we are. He and I used to meet at a Starbucks. And I said to myself, there's no way Florence can support a Starbucks. Well, it can and has, and it does exceedingly well. How important is generational awareness? In other words, you weren't born in the era of Sears and JCPenney's and traditional block and mortar retail. I don't think we fully understand some of these things we're talking about. How important is it from a younger generation to be aware of these smaller and more nimble companies and them needing space to operate their business?
I think it's very important, especially as a real estate developer, or real estate broker, however you want to label that, is you need to have your pulse on, who's your customer, what is their needs in terms of where do they want to be located, what's the trend, and it is trending towards smaller spaces, more, experience-based retail, if you want to call it that, recession-proof retail. My old job when we were leasing shopping centers, we would, you still have to get your hair cut. You can't buy that online. You can't get your nails done online. food, you can get it delivered, but someone still has to cook it. Thinking about those types of users as opposed to like what we call soft goods, like a shirt, buying clothes. But you still want to go try it on. And some people, especially I would say in smaller markets, maybe with, I don't want to say less to do, but that's an activity for our residents to go shopping, go try on some clothes and go try things out instead of just clicking it on Amazon and it'll be here in 2 days. You want to get out and have, call your girlfriends up or your guys and let's go Irby Street and see what new camo's in. Just, stuff like that.
Yeah, you wanted to add something? I'm sorry, Ken.
Rhett in 2 weeks is going to Las Vegas to ICSC, the International Council of Shopping Centers, and you can tell them a little bit about what happens there. But I mean, you can take the product you have and shop it, and there are just hundreds and probably thousands of people there representing, restaurants, retailers, everything you can imagine. They're there and they have a booth, and you can find out if they're interested in our market, and then you can kind of match up your product and develop those relationships. And
Rhett, what do you tell them about our market? I mean, we're in one of the fastest growing states in America. Everybody knows that. But people say, well, I mean, I thought all the growth was in Charleston and Greenville and Horry County. What do you, when an inquiry comes in and ask about the demographics of Florence, what is the potential of this market? How do you address that? What explanation do you give to a potential suitor?
So the hardest part about that is a lot of people are aware of Florence and where it is, but when they run their in-house analytics, they're seeing what our population is on paper as opposed to capturing the shopper from Hartsville, Darlington, Lamar, Lake City. I have to explain to them they're driving to Target 40 minutes away, and I guarantee you they're going to Target and other places. That's just one example. And trying to get these national brands to realize there's a lot more demand here than what's going to be shown on paper. And then I'm telling them about the recent growth of the activity of the new announcement for the battery plant and all the homes being built, and just like as you said, our area in general, from the coast inland, it's coming this way, and they're starting to figure it out. But at the same time, this market is a little challenging for new development.
What will you learn? What will you hope to learn in Las Vegas?
So I've been going to that conference for 10 years. They do different ones. They have some for just the Carolinas and Charlotte. They do one in the Southeast for Atlanta, and then Las Vegas is the big one. I mean, there'll be 40,000 people there, and it'll be everyone from real estate brokers like myself, developers, the retailers. You'll have Jersey Mike's Corporate and McDonald's Corporate. All these, everybody will be there. In addition, there'll be lending people there trying to get ahead of. I mean, it's just, if you're in retail, commercial real estate, that's kind of the bullseye on the week before Memorial Day. That's when it is. And so I go out there just trying to let people know that we're out here in Florence and figure out who's looking in our area and try to kind of intercept those that are looking in our area and see how I can help them. Oh, I need an acre near 5 Points to build a Whataburger. Well, I'm going to try to help you find that.
Ken, are we ready, I mean, with the growth that is headed our way? And you and I've talked a lot about this. I mean, and for a long time, I drank the Amazon Walmart Kool-Aid. I mean, I did. I mean, I said to myself, there's no way these companies can survive and sustain because Walmart's got this share and Amazon has that share, and people are more inclined to stay at home. And I think I don't know that we peaked at that, but there's a lot of space for these other companies to do exceedingly well. When we talk about discount retailers or quick service restaurants or specialty beverages with drive-thrus, do we have adequate inventory? I mean, if a broker is looking for a site in the PD region, Florence in particular, and they are representing a discount retailer or a quick service restaurant, do we have the inventory? And if not, how do we go about making sure we've got enough inventory?
Well, sometimes it's hard to prepare fully for growth.
But how do we prepare as adequately as we can? Well, what's the science or analytics behind being ready for these businesses if they choose to come here?
Well, I think part of it is for us, and it's what we do is try to identify those sites, and it might not be a greenfield, undeveloped site that is just sitting there ready. It might be something with an old building on it, or it might be a part of a larger parcel that needs to be torn down and redeveloped. And I mean, it's what you look at and see right now. You don't ride around and see many vacant lots that look like they're just ready to be built on. And so it's going to look different than what we see now, and and it's going to grow out. Of course, most people want to be where the rooftops are or where the shoppers are. So it's hard to go out and just say, okay, well, we're going to go out, on Pamplico Highway and build it. They're not going to do that. But you can look where the growth patterns are. We know that where development is going to happen with the new rooftops coming, with the probably 4,000 new homes that are going to be built in the next number of years that are permitted. And I think that the retailers know that too. They can look at it now and see where they are, and they know, the geographic area they want to be in.
They have so much data they can pull from your cell phone.
It is like, they have software now where, they can know where everybody going into Redbone Alley is coming from and where they go when they leave. Because they track
how long they spent there, how much time they were there,
what their demographic is, and it's just crazy.
That's why I'm such a conspiracy theorist. They know too much about us. Rhett, is it important to be proactive? Mr. Smith owns 3 acres of land just on the outside of town. Mr. Smith has never demonstrated a willingness to just partner with that property. Doesn't need the money, doesn't want to sell the land. There's some sentimental value there. Is it important to not wait on Mr. Smith or his family to call, but to be proactive and create some sort of relationship with a landowner who could have a valuable and productive piece of property?
Absolutely. It's definitely a long-term kind of approach to especially those types of transactions. It's not going to happen overnight. It might be 5 years in the making, but they'll remember. They remember that you called, you weren't pushy.
So let's be specific. So I got to believe that part of your job is bird dogging.
A lot of it is.
Exactly, but I get it. I would imagine that's the case. All of you are probably bird dogging at all times. You're looking, you're watching, you're thinking, you're analyzing. So if there's someone out there that has a piece of property that at one point in time was in the middle of nowhere, and now it's not, and they are reconsidering what to do with that property, what sort of process do you offer them to make sure they maximize the potential of that property?
Yeah, I might let Ken elaborate some on that too.
Yeah, no, we'd sit down with them and evaluate the property and talk to them about the pros and the cons. We'd look and see, according to how much detail they want to get in, but as far as evaluating the utilities and what is zoned and whether it should be rezoned and whether that's something you want to go ahead and try to do.
We're going to have to put in infrastructure to get it developable.
What's your goal? Do you want to develop it yourself? Do you just want to sell it and be done with it? You want to partner with somebody? We can offer all those things.
You want to chop it up into lots and sell each one, or do you just want to wash your hands and let someone else do the dirty work?
So we'd sit down and tell them, give them our opinion of the property, but we'd also give them options of what they could do with it to help meet their goals.
And as the community grows, I can't imagine that's that uncommon. I'm not saying it happens every minute of every day, but occasionally someone would reach out to you or you reach out to them about a particular piece of property, and that's where the process starts. And who knows where it ends? Fair enough?
That's right. Absolutely.
Let's go back down. McLeod's one of our sponsors here, and they are the largest employer in our community. Another bit of information you sent me was the growth in the healthcare sector. And it's a little bit non-traditional. It would not be a hospital campus. It would be a practice or you talked about counseling and treatment for addiction's a big deal, and the government's got intimately involved in that. Because McLeod is such a big employer, and we have another major hospital in our community, is that something that we consider when developing property, the other ancillary medical facilities? Yeah,
well, I think what you're seeing now is you see the urgent care centers and, the doc in a box kind of franchise. Those are growing as rooftops grow because, people want to have that nearby. So, it's not as much the practices because you don't see as many outside anymore. You might see a center, that specializes in something, but the traditional old doctor's office like we grew up going to, you don't see as much of that anymore. But but healthcare is definitely something, and you can look around Florence and see where the population centers are, and you can see that that they're starting to put those, and they'll continue that. And I think that'll just be an ongoing part of development.
10,000 people today turning 65 will need more and more health care. I want to go, and I don't want anybody to tell the government what they should or should not do, but from your perspective, I want each of you to answer this. What could local government, somebody in local government reached out to me and said, what do you think we could do to enhance our opportunities? What do you think? We've got an economic development partnership. We're out recruiting industry and business, but we have these local real estate companies, PLC Commercial being one of those. What can we do to make it more likely that we succeed when Rhett goes to Las Vegas and tries to convince discount retailers and quick service restaurants and specialty beverages? What can the government do? Ken, I'll start with you. What can the government do to aid and assist to make sure that Florence is living up to its potential?
Probably a lot of things. That every community could do, but doing the things like tomorrow I'm going to a stakeholders meeting for the Highway 52 Lucas Street corridor study, where the city and the county will be, and the city's leading this charge, but they'll be putting a focus on redeveloping that whole corridor, which comes into Florence from 52 and 95, and that stretch is not the prettiest in the world. And they've been doing that around, and the county's been involved, doing that on East Palmetto all the way out to Francis Marion. The city's getting ready to do something going down South Irby Street, continuing to focus on improving the visual of Florence, and particularly the entryway corridors. The litter is a big problem here, and it's a big problem everywhere. But the county's engaging with Keep Florence Beautiful, and is stepping up and is going to be doing some stuff and providing some funding and assistance to them. And I think, the county gets that now, and they're doing some things and participating with some private sector people to make improvements to the look of the community that's been long overdue. They're trying to zone the county, the areas outside the zone areas, which is a tough thing to do, and it takes a long time, and it's very controversial because a lot of people don't want their property to be zoned or don't want anybody to tell them what to do. But it's important, because otherwise you're going to have a hodgepodge of uses and incompatible uses next to each other, and it's just not a good way for a community to grow. So the county's doing that as well. The city, part of it is, of course, taxes are, always something that the commercial property owners take the brunt of, and
I think I hear abolish 388.
being mindful of that, and which I think the county council and city council don't have any control much over that, but that's something to be mindful. Business license, being mindful of keeping those in check as far as the level of it, and I understand that the county and the city have to be able to provide the services they do. They have to have revenue, and taxes and fees are the ways they get that. But just being like we are as a county and the city focused on economic development, it's not just big box and industry, it's the small businessman too, and have that same level of interest in helping them succeed and being mindful of the challenges they face.
The groundbreakings are a lot of fun.
Small business,
but the local business, you're right, is the blood and guts of the community. Rhett, I got to believe, to Ken's point, a pro-business local government makes it more likely that PLC Commercial is successful. What do you see that they could do? And I don't want to say a better job of.
Yeah.
It's hard. I've been on county council. It is hard. There's priorities here and priorities there and priorities everywhere, and people don't like taxes, and taxes how you fund local government. But what do you, to Ken's point, what do you perceive to be some of the things they could do to make ourselves more pro-business?
Sure. I think there's a handful of things, and kind of to go back to what Ken was saying in terms of how we regulate, not necessarily regulate the growth of Florence, but how we best manage this opportunity we're given with this new growth is strategic growth, and how, growth is great, but if you grow too fast, you're going to realize that there was maybe some mistakes made along the way. What worries me a lot is the roads, and we start putting 500 homes on Hoffmeyer Road and it's 2 lanes. That's a lot of traffic, and just managing that. And to be honest, kind of to your point about making Florence beautiful, how to attract more businesses, I think as we go along, and it's going to be hard to do because they're already in place, but how do we recast our signage, our streetscapes, to where we don't have kind of like a NASCAR everywhere? Every road you go down is just all of these signs. It'd be nice to bring a little more uniformity and just not have all these flashing neon signs everywhere to kind of rope that in, but that's going to be along and along.
But the aesthetics matter.
They matter a lot.
It's not just about gallons of water per minute. I mean, that's important. It's not just about how many lanes of traffic we can accommodate. The aesthetics matter.
They do.
I mean, how a place looks. Ken, you and I, one of the most successful real estate people in this state's history. We rode around Florence with him for a long time, and you and I were waiting on some prophetic saying from the guru of commercial property, and he said, "You folks have to make this place prettier." And it kind of dawned on us. He's right. I mean, aesthetics do matter. You've always maintained that we've got to do a better job of that.
Well, there's no question. And we have made progress, but it's got to be a focus and an ongoing focus. And I think, we have a city and council and a county council that recognize that, and we just need to make sure we help them to not lose sight of it.
And we're going to grow. I mean, the data is, it's undeniable. I mean, we're one of the fastest growing states in America. Only so many people can live at the beach. And I think Rhett hit it earlier, there's going to be some backfill growth. I mean, I'm already hearing that, and you and I were talking a week or so ago. I'm not saying Horry County's full, or Charleston County's full, or Beaufort County's full, but people are beginning to look for less crowded places to live. And I think we can present ourselves as a very reasonable and attractive alternative if we do some of these things you guys are talking about. Lastly, I want to touch on, I think this is, I don't want to say a negative of the real estate economy, but everywhere I look, there's a dilemma in about every market with office space. Is it time to really start thinking about repurposing office? Do we have enough vacant office space in Florence and the PD region to begin thinking about? I mean, we're not San Francisco. We don't have a 6 million square foot building sitting, 30% occupied. But is it time, either of you guys, to start thinking about the future of office space and whether or not we need to start considering repurposing of office space? Or is that problem kind of more about the big cities and major markets?
I don't see it as much being a problem here. I mean, because we don't have big office buildings, and that's where you see a lot of the problems, I think, in most of the bigger markets. Here, there are very few buildings that have over 10,000 square feet. I mean, you can name them on your hand almost as far as office space that would be for rent. Those are a challenge. But the smaller ones, like the ones we have, 2,000, 3,000, 1,200 square feet, they're taking a little bit longer now, but, there's not a lot of inventory out there.
There's not much newer, kind of fresh feeling office in this town, in my opinion.
Not the struggle of some of the major American cities that have enormous amounts of office space that they're starting to begin whether or not to repurpose. So,
and it's another point is it's so expensive to build. Nobody's going to really be building any speculative office space.
I'm not asking you who you're voting for, what your political opinions are. Most people know mine. But does it matter as we begin choosing another president or the same president? Well, it'll be the same one again or the same one this time. But does that matter in the decision-making process of companies considering whether to expand, whether to relocate, whether to buy property in South Carolina? I guess what I'm asking is, could there be a little bit of a stall this summer in waiting to see what happens with presidential politics?
Well, I'm sure, at the higher levels there could be some of that, but I think it's more interest rate driven than political.
This is the Fed, not the president. Imagine that. The Fed is the president. They just don't really know that. Rhett, I'll conclude with this. If someone out there, if there's a Mr. Smith or a Miss Jones, and they have a piece of property and it's highly lucrative and valuable or not, why are you the company they need to call? And once they make that decision, what does the process kind of look like?
So I think with PLC Commercial, you're getting a well-rounded, well-experienced team of many, I don't want to say ages, but I mean, we all have diverse backgrounds and different expertises within commercial real estate. We all have a different approach to it, given, Ken's been doing it a lot longer than I have, but I'm also maybe be on top of some trends that Ken might not be aware about. And you're getting a team of well-balanced, well-experienced individuals.
Has it gone about like you thought, Ken, for the first year? I mean, Rhett said June 1st is the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'd been kind of a lone wolf for a long time, and so it's been a refreshing change to work with people and be able to share like he explained, and it's been a lot of fun, and I'm excited and hope to work many more years.
Good deal. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.